Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this webinar on the SVRI Forum in 2024. My name is Heidi Stöckel. I'm a professor of public health evaluation at the Ludwig-Maximilians University in Munich, Germany. And I've worked in the field of violence against women for the last 15 to 20 years, mainly focusing on intimate partner violence, prevalence of intimate partner violence and non-partner sexual violence, intervention evaluation, as well as health outcomes, with a particular focus on violence during pregnancy. There are a couple of housekeeping rules that will be shown on the next slide. That means this webinar will last around 60 minutes. It will be recorded. And unfortunately, we have to mute you as an audience, something we don't really like. But we do hope that you will use the chat function and the Q&A functions to introduce yourself. And we also really welcome if you put any question you have that we will be able to answer after our panel session in the chat function and the Q&A function so that we can address them, which we will. The whole talk the whole webinar will be in English. I hope this is fine. But do use the space to introduce yourself, get to know each other, because this really should be an opportunity for all of you to meet as well and to connect. So the exciting panel that we have today is Sunita Peleka-Jörgsen from UNICEF. We also have Bogdan Krasik from Save the Children International and Joanna Joanna, you will pronounce your surname properly afterwards in the panel, hopefully. Joanna is part of the SVRI Leadership Council, SMI. We also have Liesel Lutz from the SVRI on the panel as well, who will be there for you too.
Thank you, Heidi. And good morning, everyone. It is so great to be back again this year to present on yet another forum. I want to just convey before we start our deep gratitude to all of you who have supported the forum in the past, and to everybody who's here today who might be thinking about attending the forum this year. The conference keeps growing each year, and we wouldn't be able to make it such a success without each and every one of you. So to those who may not know us, just a little bit about the SVRI. We are a feminist, women-led non-profit organization. We were established in 2003, recognizing the inequities and lack of resources dedicated to research on violence against women and violence against children in low and middle-income countries. We work to achieve a world free of violence against women and violence against children through improved practices and prevention programs informed by evidence focused on low and middle-income countries. The SVRI currently has more than 10,500 members, which include researchers, practitioners, donors, activists, and policymakers across the globe. We work across 4 pillars, as you can see on the screen. The first being building evidence. Some of you might know it. This includes our SVRI research grant, of which we launch a call each year. We also work to strengthen capacity, and this is really core to our work. And this is to increase the number of researchers from low and middle income countries to lead research and programs in low and middle income countries. We also work to promote partnerships, which is all about collaboration and support. And this includes, for example, the forum, our SVRI update, the weekly newsletter, our knowledge hub, and also our SVRI help desk. We then also work to influence change. So many of you might be familiar with this work. This includes some of our ethical funding work and also our global research priority setting work and the topical research priority setting works. So about the forum, it is the largest abstract-driven event on violence against women and violence against children with a focus on low and middle-income countries. It is an opportunity to learn, share, and connect on research and practice innovations. Every 2 years, the SVRI Forum is held, and it's been running since 2009. So Cape Town will be our 8th international conference in person, and we do expect over 1,000 people to attend. So over the 5 days, we have a day of capacity building workshops. These are now available online, and I'll show you a little bit later what they are. We also have 3 days of conferencing, which is the abstract-driven program. And then we have the Friday, which is generally dedicated to participant-driven events, or what is known as side events or satellite events. Some innovations at the forum include the abstract-driven panels, as I just mentioned, integrating both practice and research. We also have dialogic panels, which was first launched in Mexico in 2022. So we are looking at increasing these because they are designed to challenge and to debate certain issues in the field. And saying this, Liz, if you wouldn't mind, we currently do have a survey open where we are asking people in the field to identify their priority topics, not only for the dialogic sessions, but also around global issues that we can address in the plenary sessions. So we would love to hear your views on that. So there will also be 4-minute presentations. These are really popular at the conference. And we will also have a limited number of poster stands this year, and this is backed by popular demand. So the forum offers spaces for exhibition stands, for networking, for well-being, self and collective care. And generally, it's just a space to nurture relationships, to dance, and to really ignite joy. We do work in a very difficult field. Just looking at our principles, at Forum, we commit to principles of learning and collaboration, where our delegates come together to design solutions to end war and vac, to build knowledge, and to collaborate and expand their networks with others in the field. We also commit to diversity, equality, and inclusion, meaning that we acknowledge the power dynamics that's inherent in research. We nurture young and emerging researchers and practitioners through a mentoring program, and we also award a Forum Prize to the best young researcher and best young practitioner presentations. This slide is just a little about what our delegates say, so we'll make this presentation available online afterwards along with the recording, and you can have a look at this. So why South Africa? So historically, the SVRI holds every second forum in South Africa, which is our headquarters. Organizing a conference at this scale can be quite taxing. So with a small team, it just makes it easier for us to bring it back to South Africa to allow us to make use of local insights and our relationships to streamline the planning and execution. And it also ensures that the team's well-being is looked after and that the event quality is consistent. We will be hosting 2026 in the Asia region, so it would be great to also engage with everyone around that. So just on the themes, and Liz, if you could maybe pop the themes link into the chat for us as well. So the outcomes of SVRI Forum 2022 drives the themes for 2024. So what we did is we had a very consultative process with members in the field, with members of the SVRI, with basically with all of our partners, with everybody who works in the field. We had a really, really good feedback session with all of our partners on this. So it's really been incredibly collaborative. And if you were part of this process, thank you so much. The insights that were given were incorporated, and these were our themes around understanding war and vac in their multiple forms, prevention and response research and programs, methods and measures, around men who use violence, so perpetration of war and vac, childhood sexual violence, and then integrating mental health, self-care, and collective care in research and practice. And we would really encourage you to visit the themes page when you are thinking about developing your abstract. Many people might think that the work that they do might not exactly fit into these themes, and we just want to say, please don't let that prevent you from submitting. Our sessions are, so the tracks of the sessions are guided by what we receive. And there are so many sub-themes underneath these that the chances are that you will find generally where your abstract might fit. So on the abstract submission, it is currently open. It will close on the 19th of February at midnight South African Standard Time. Liz, if you can maybe just share the link for the abstract submission as well, the page. You can submit in French, Spanish, and English, and we use the Oxford system, which is quite an easy system to use. The type of abstracts that we do accept, of course, it's research, and then also programs and practice-based knowledge, which is really important to us. The abstract length when you submit, so just in planning, It's got a limit of 350 words. It is sent out for blind review to 2 abstract reviewers who will then look at the following. So they will look at relevance. Does it address a key theme or a key area of debate? The clarity and purpose. So are objectives well and clear presented? They'll also look at the methods, whether that was appropriately used. Significance. So would the study findings be significant? And also then looking at contributions. So are any recommendations made? Is it based in a resource poor setting? So these are just some of the things that reviewers will look at. So we do invite you to submit in any of the 3 languages. If you do have any questions, you're welcome to write to us. And Liz will also add the forum's email address in for you. So this is just the workshop. So we do currently have a lot. There's 20, and you can have a look at them at more details on the website. So with the workshops, this is also a process that is like it starts off at the previous year's forum. In the evaluation, we see what people identify as priorities, we consult with the field, and then we send out targeted invitations to people, and here's where we end up. So it is quite exciting. It's the most that we've ever had. Important dates. So early registration is currently open, and that will close on the 29th of Feb, after which the standard registration will be open until September. We do offer discounted rates for low and middle income-based delegates. We unfortunately don't, because we do get this question a lot, we don't have student rates, but we do offer the early registration and discounted rates for low and middle income-based delegates. Your registration includes access to all your sessions, exhibition stands, the opening events, the networking events, teas and lunches, conference materials, the program, etc., and also the WUVA app, which we use for networking. Exhibition stands, you can now apply to have your own exhibition stand. It opened up on the 15th, so that is all online, and it includes your cost around the exhibition stand, includes 1 conference registration. We also have participant-driven events open at the moment, so you are welcome to apply for that. We'll come back to you with a quotation. These events they take place outside of the abstract-driven program, and generally it is run and paid for by delegates themselves. Then just lastly, so how can organizations support the forum? So there are many, many ways to support, to partner, to fund the forum. So firstly, just as a general support to the SVRI Forum is where possible, where you have an abstract that has a partner named on it from a low and middle income country, we do ask that people try and ensure that those partners present or attend. We also then automatically give partnership to organizations or institutions who bring 10 or more delegates. With funding, people can support the SVRI Forum through funding bursaries to make sure that we are including people from low and middle income countries at the forum, also supporting language justice through translation services, and then supporting the various well-being activities at the conference. Another way to fund or support the forum is also just to contribute to the core costs. It does cost quite a lot to organize a conference of this scale. And you can reach out to us at our email address so we can give you more information. And Liz, I do think I've put in the sponsorship package for you, if you can maybe share that. So that is it from me. We look forward to seeing everybody at the forum this year. So I'm going to hand it back to Heidi, who will take you to the panel discussion with our amazing panelists. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Liesl. So in the following, we will have the different panel speakers who I outlined already, speaking a little bit about their experience as the SVRI Forum. And as someone who attended since the second SVRI Forum in 2011, it's also my absolute favorite conference for all the reasons that the panelists will tell you in a second. I will actually start with my first question to Bogdan, because what do you see as the relationship between research and practice evolving in the future, and what role do you think the SVRI Forum will play in this?
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who is attending today. My name is Bogdan, and I'm the program director at Save the Children. And I attended the last forum in 22. It was my first forum, and it was for us to present the research that we did with SVRI as SVRI grantees. It was a wonderful experience, and I can't recommend enough to everyone to apply. In terms of your question about the future relationship between research and practice, as is the case with many other grantees, we were a combination of practitioners and researchers in academia. So in this in our case, I would say that I'd like to highlight two important aspects that are fundamental to the success and impact of efforts in addressing violence against children in the future. So the first one is the importance of partnerships of this kind in research uptake and advocacy. And then there is also a need for donor support and recognition of such joint partnerships, especially when it comes to research coming from low and middle income countries. Firstly, on the role of partnerships between academic institutions and human rights defenders, the SVRI Forum is an incredibly important platform to bring together practitioners and researchers together. By bringing them together, there is a sort of theoretical depth of academia, but also the practical insights of human rights advocacy that creates a synergy that is far greater than if we were acting alone. So these partnerships have enabled us to tackle complex issues through a multifaceted approach, and it brought us together and enabled us both as practitioners to build research skills and to advance our knowledge, but it also helped academia get more involved in policy and advocacy work through research uptake, which is often new to them. I envision the dynamic between research and practice will only grow more. It will become more collaborative in the future with new partnership nexus at the core. And the SVRI Forum sets an important model. It is, I think, an incubator of these partnerships. It allows space also for young researchers and aspiring researchers to attend, and it brings together all kinds of different stakeholders across disciplines to tackle the most pressing issues, especially when it comes to violence against children. For instance, our joint research with academics from the University of Belgrade and University of Sarajevo has directly informed advocacy efforts that we have, and by bridging the gaps between researchers and practitioners, I think we ensured that both evidence gathering, but also policy recommendations respond to the real needs of children who are facing violence. And the best part is that the ongoing engagement between our teams continues to drive impact. So we have continued to work together after the SVRI Forum. On my second point, the future looking, the full potential of these collaborations can only be realized with adequate support and recognition from donors. So the need of donor support and recognition for interdisciplinary collaborations is very important. The SVRI Forum has highlighted numerous innovative and impactful projects born out of such partnerships, and we were happy to have different donors such as World Bank present at the SVRI Forum last year, and I'm sure they will be present this year as well. So in the future, I hope for continued and increased recognition and support from donors for such initiatives that integrate perspectives across the research to policy to practice spectrum. With the backing of donors, platforms like the SVRI Forum can continue nurturing promising partnerships between research and practice to enhance our responses on child protection. And most importantly, such collaborations give a voice to victims and human rights defenders while working together towards solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bogdan. It really speaks to what I value as a pure academic as well in the forum, the ability to really connect and collaborate with practitioners and really understanding their needs. Joanna, is the next question will go to you. Joanna, you've been first attended the SVRI as a young practitioner. Could you reflect what participating, experiencing the forum really did to shape your own work in the violence against women, violence against children field after the forum?
Heidi. My name is Jana Włodarczyk. I know it's not easy to pronounce. I'm from Poland and I'm a researcher for over 10 years in the field of child abuse and neglect. I've participated in 3 SVRI forums, and I really encourage everyone to participate in the next one this year. So coming back to your questions, so the most important part for me was when I was doing a research on child sexual abuse a few years ago, and I was struggling with some emotions in me. It was really difficult for me to manage them. And at some point, I found I was searching for some information about researchers that are doing also this kind of work and have this kind of problems, issues. And I found some information mostly at SVRI page about vicarious trauma on researchers, and I published a paper in Polish about it, which was, I think, the first one in this scope about this issue. So that was something that came to my mind because I participated in the SVRI Forum in 2017. I think that was the first one in Brazil that I participated in. So that was the main thing that came to me because I participated in the SVRI Forum. But also, I am a member of SVRI Leadership Council because first I participated in the SVRI Forum. And I really think that this is one of the best conferences, as Heidi stressed out that, you know, it's really, really good one. So that's something that you should try also, all of you here. And from the European perspective, because I think we are talking here about also people from Europe to participate, SVRI Forum is one of the not many conferences when you can find this not only European perspective on child abuse and neglect research and violence against women research. So it's really widening the perspective, which is extremely important when you are a researcher. So I highly recommend everyone to participate in it. And you can also find many interesting people here. You can find partnerships and collaborations. So that's something what SVRI Forum is about, I think.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I think it speaks to all our experience of those who attended SVRI about the amazing kind of group of like-minded people you find and interact with. And you get so many new insights. Like last year, we talked a lot about decolonization of research, which was really mind-blowing and kept on a lot of discussions that lasted a long time after. Sunita, you're the next one I want to ask. You're a policymaker as well as a knowledge builder. Can you tell us in what way the forum is helping you in that role in the field of violence against women and children prevention?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And really, just to echo what colleagues have already said, it speaks so much to how I feel and how I've experienced this as well. So colleagues, it's a pleasure to be together with you today. My name is Sunita. I'm with UNICEF. I've also attended a few of these forums, and really it's a joy when you know that we're coming around to the year where we have a forum, as opposed to those off years when you don't have that to look forward to. So I enthusiastically echo what others have said. Specifically, I think as a policymaker and knowledge builder, and that linkage with programming and research that have come out so strongly already with Joanna and Bogdan, I think I also believe that SVRI really creates space for us to think outside the box, to challenge our traditional ways of doing programming, to see that there, we don't have to stay within these pillars and these frameworks that have been created, but that we need to be innovative. And that really comes, I think, from the cross-regional learning. It comes from looking at cross-cutting issues. If we look back at the list of super fascinating workshops that Liesl had put up, I already want to join them all. And I think I won't be able to, but I think you really get into all of those intersectionalities in the different pieces, which I think is quite unique for a conference that focuses on violence against women and violence against children, which speaks a little bit to my next point. We don't have a lot of spaces out there where we're unapologetic in promoting a focus on women and girls, on focusing on violence against women and violence against children. We see in the world right now, there's quite a lot of pushback in talking about these issues. And so I think having that space that's safe for us to explore what we're doing, to explore how we're advancing our prevention and response work on these areas, I think is really unique. Personally, I also think it's a unique opportunity for building knowledge, but also potentially building some consensus around promising practices. I think the investment that's made in looking at what's working, what's not, why is something working, and having the space to really reflect on that together certainly offers me, I think has offered me opportunities to take that back and think about how would we scale that up, or how could we pilot this? How do I pull in those pieces, and that it's grounded in reality? So I think, as Bogdan mentioned, it's really, this isn't a fantasy world of what we would like to do, but really grounded in what practitioners are saying, what women and girls are saying, and so on. And then maybe personally, I think, we all come in with particular knowledge, maybe expertise in a specific area or experience in something. I also just love that I get to grow. So it's an opportunity for me to learn more from others. Maybe it's not the area I'm going to focus on in my work, but something where I can walk away saying, I didn't know that. And that's also really valuable, I think, for all of us as we continue to evolve in the work that we're doing, and inevitably will shape and enhance work. But at the same time, I think just from somebody who's passionate about these issues, it's an opportunity to really also continue to build that enthusiasm. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Sunita. This was really nice, because for me, when I first attended the forum, the opportunity to meet policymakers was really scary. And I think attending, since 2011, the forum continuously really helped me to, get over a bit of that fear and realizing that we're all just learning from each other. I would like to go back to Bogdan, actually, because you mentioned that you've been part of one or more forums over the years, in the previous response. So from your perspective, what impact can practitioners' voices actually have in the discussions at international platforms like the forum?
Thank you, Heidi. So yes, as a participant in the forum, I can say that for me it really represented the essence of multidisciplinary engagement. Although the line between practitioner and research is a little bit blurred in our case, since we did kind of both. We try to do both parts, but in our case, I'd say, speaking from a strictly practitioner perspective today, I believe that bringing practitioners into conferences like the SVRI Forum brings really important ground perspectives to the discussions, and the direct experiences that we bring and insights can play a vital role in shaping future research, and also it can support the evidence-based policymaking in the future. When platforms such as the SVRI Forum engage diverse stakeholders, including practitioners working on the front lines, what is really enabled through this are holistic solutions that we were looking for. So, for example, at the SVRI Forum, we presented findings on violence against migrant and displaced children in the Balkans, from both perspectives. So I was present at the SVRI Forum, and also my colleague Anita from the University of Belgrade was also there, and we presented from both sides. The study that we did was conducted jointly by Save the Children and the University of Belgrade and Sarajevo, and the project itself brought the Save the Children's on-the-ground experience and research capabilities of the university, helps to create one a policy and advocacy effort together. And the participation at the SVRI Forum really allowed us to showcase our collaboration and to also connect with others. Ultimately, this should, as I've mentioned, lead towards better solutions through research and advocacy for vulnerable children. In general, I would say the practitioner insights directly can influence child protection strategies because the diversity of stakeholders who are present at the forum, including practitioners from various fields, ensured a comprehensive and inclusive approach to addressing issues related to child protection for everyone who is working on tackling these issues. So this varied participation is not just beneficial for the participants, but necessary in general. And it really helps inform both sides on the latest innovations and needs and trends. So while researchers provide practitioners, of whom many are actually human rights defenders, with latest insights into data analysis and methodological frameworks, I think the practitioner voices are just as invaluable for researchers. Through partnerships that were fostered at the forum, we have seen the development of, together we worked on policy papers, we've done comprehensive research reports, and practical toolkits and workshops were also developed. So in our case, these resources are used to address critical issues in the global migration crisis, and what we are trying to create are tangible solutions. At SVRI Forum, the voices of practitioners ensure that these efforts are not only informed by the latest research, but also by real-world experiences of those working on the front lines. And practitioners, as being practical and grounded in perspective that provides another, enriches the discussion, influences policy making, and contributes to outcomes. It also helps drive global efforts in child rights protection for us. And finally, I would conclude by saying that participation of practitioners ensures that the solutions that are devised are not only academically sound, but also it ensures that these solutions are practically viable and that that really truly are responsive to the needs of those that we aim to support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, I want to turn to Joanna again. And as I mentioned, I always introduce you as a young researcher, although by now this is probably a bit gone now. But you've experienced SVRI as a young practitioner. And could you tell us maybe what did you find that really helped you, and what would you expect next from the forum in terms of engaging young researchers and practitioners?
Thank you, Heidi. Yes, we are now saying more like early career researcher, because you don't have to be young to also to be able to participate as a young or early career researcher. So I think the most important part of participating and SVRI Forum as an early career researcher is openness and the possibility to discuss things with people who have more experience and learn from them, but also be heard and allow them to learn from you. It is quite an important possibility. And also, I think that what SVRI Forum is an important place for everyone to build a resilience, because you know this field is not an easy field to work in, as we all know. And it is important to build resilience and to be aware of well-being, which is an important part of this job. And SVRI Forum is a place where you can learn how to do it. But also from other perspective, SVRI Forum has Early Career Researcher Award, so you can go and present your research, and then you can even have an award for that. Also, as Liesl said before, apart from regular abstracts, you can also send an abstract for a poster or for 4-minute presentation, which is a good opportunity if you are an early career researcher. And also, as something that I mentioned before, networking, which is extremely important when you are an early career researcher and you are new to this field and you want to grow, to network and to partner with people around the world, but also with people who have more experience. It is extremely important, and you can do that during SVRI Forum. So that's something you should try.
Thank you. And I think you mentioned something really important there. There used to be this breakfast between experienced researchers and early career researchers, but I think also the networking between the early career researchers, where there's a lot more activities. And I'm always a bit jealous. I want to join that again, because that is far more actively and more organized than for the more senior people.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Joanna, for all these different insights. Sunita, my last big question to you is that from a policymaker's perspective, what makes SVRI, the forum, a unique and impactful platform for all those who attend?
Thank you for that question. And I mean, I think this builds on what everyone has said already. I don't think well, perhaps there's some unique things that I feel, but certainly I think all of the pieces around networking and bringing people together is a big one. And I think, Heidi, also something you said when I finished my last response around making other people less scary. I do think the fact that you have all of these different people who are coming with their expertise, experience, and so on, and sitting at the table together, and people who in other moments in time have different functions, different power, different roles. But we all come to this as equal seat holders. We come to learn together, to share together, to grow together. I think that's something that already makes it really unique and impactful. I also think that it gives us the opportunity to connect beyond those that we might already know and who we talk to regularly, and we're able to bring in these other perspectives, other knowledge across regions, from grassroots to global. And I think that's just such a unique space to have. I think also building on something that Bogdan mentioned, this space to bring together policymakers, research, academics, practitioners, those are not very common, and certainly not very common in our space around violence against women and violence against children. And what I think that really helps us do, and why SVRI is so unique, is that it helps us challenge the way we work in silos on these different pillars of work, where we have the same goals. We all want to work on ending violence against women and children. Yet we come with these perspectives we have of our approaches and so on. And I think being in that space where we have this quality time together to understand what's happening is really useful. And I think certainly for me, as UNICEF and other similar organizations or bodies, it helps articulate how we can be doing things better. So where we sit at the intersection of some of these issues, how can we try to bring these pieces together in a way that's more impactful? Maybe two last points, if I can. This, again, is a personal one, but I think it can be lonely working on violence against women and violence against children. And when you think about the larger space of humanitarian development work in academia, with different agencies and so on. So I also think just personally coming together, feeling the strength of our movements and being able to take that with us as we go is really powerful. And then lastly, I would say, again, I think it's an opportunity to identify new partners, new leaders in the field who don't always get visibility, in particular local women's organizations, women's rights organizations, who really should be driving a lot of this work and yet often don't find themselves with the seat at the table. So I think the really deliberate approach that SVRI has and the ways in which we're trying to elevate those makes it a really impactful platform for all those of us who really want to take that, elevate it, and continue to grow the work together.
Thank you so much. We only so far have one question that I will answer. So I thought I might use the time for everyone to please, first of all, do put in your question in the Q&A so that the panel can answer it. But while you might do this, another 30 seconds from each person about in the panel what your top tips are when you're for the, what your top tips are to make the most out of your conference experience. And maybe start with Bogdan, then Joanna, and then Sunita.
So thank you everyone. In terms of making the most, I remember that at the forum, even though nobody tracks you, you don't have to attend all of the events, but somehow everyone wanted to attend all of them because it was really great. And then something that's really interesting about the SVRI Forum when I look back is how calm and nice and everyone was, and how just how nice it was to participate in the forum itself, even though it deals with something, the topic that we were dealing with is violence against children, violence against women. Nevertheless, the participants themselves are something that makes the SVRI Forum so great, and this is what makes it so nice to be present at. So my recommendation to everyone is to really go and try to meet as many people as you can, because those connections are really amazing. I see some people that I've met at the forum now in the chat. They're writing to us, and it is really, really great to connect. So that's I think my number one tip. Just everyone was so nice and professional and polite, and just use that fact and connect with as many people as you can.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Heidi. So I have 3 tips actually. So first of all, participate in workshops. I think it's a great opportunity to learn, but also to get to know people. So and it's before the main conference, so it's a good opportunity. The second one is to ask questions and take part in discussions during the conference, but also during the breaks. And in the morning, in the evening, just, talk to people. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And the third one is also from my personal experience. Sometimes it's a good thing also to take a break, because SVRI Forum is a lot. So to remember to take a break once in a while and relax for a minute, because then you can come back with the energy again. It is a very how to say, it takes a lot of energy to meet all of those people. It's great, but also remember to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I would echo that one very much, Joanna. There's a lot going on, and you can, I think, even if you want to, you can't make it to everything. So maybe one thing I would say as a tip related to that, as well as to trying to take advantage. One is the app is super helpful because it can help you track the different things that are happening, but you can also have a written copy of things if it's easier for you. I know sometimes keeping track of where I'm supposed to go, sometimes the apps are great, but having a piece of paper that has that listed for me is a good thing. I also think the exhibition stands are a great way to have more bilateral conversations about some of the work that's happening, either because it's an organization you're interested in, an agency you're interested in, topics that you see converging, but also to share what you're doing on something that you see in somebody else's exhibition. I found that that's also been a great way of finding those synergies and those connections. So taking the time to wander about and have some of those conversations I think has been a really useful thing. And also enjoy Cape Town. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. And you'll find colleagues that you get to know over the course of the week who might want to go out and do a little excursion as well. Take advantage of that also. Thanks.
Yeah, I think you're quite right about the app. I actually used it to write to a couple of people. I just wrote hi, and then they wrote back, and then we met up. So it was a really, really good, a good facilitation tool. I think you also brought up the exhibition stands, and we had a question from that from the floor about, you know, what basically is, you know, why would you run one, and what's the value of doing so? And maybe just to explain, like last year and also in the future, in the upcoming one in Cape Town, normally exhibition stands are really close to where also the tea breaks are. And we learned from the Mexico SVRI that it's really good to have long tea breaks, because then people can really network and engage. And so basically your exhibition stand is quite next to it. They are really good platforms for networking and getting information out. So we normally have them from UN Women, UNICEF, etc. And so it's actually for participants like me, it's an opportunity to go there and to meet the people. And it's linked to some other question about engaging policymakers. You know, they're often found near this exhibition stand. So it's quite useful, or it's quite useful to really meet someone from these different organizations. It's because physically they are like very visible in this conference. They're not just in like some remote corridor, but they're like in the heart of it. And also they are promoted quite a lot on the web pages and the program books, etc. So there's quite a lot of exposures where you can promote your projects and other things. But actually, I would really emphasize this engagement with the participants. Like last year, they literally had to go through all the exhibition stands to come to the coffee. So it was like the perfect setup. There was another question that I saw down there about engaging policymakers throughout the forum, and how do you manage and maintain this engagement over a couple of conference days? I don't know, Sunita, if this is a question you would like to answer as a policymaker. How do we engage you over the duration of the conference?
Sure. I think, I think we're probably not a monolithic group, so perhaps don't have one way, but I think certainly the majority of policymakers and people in general who are participating in SVRI want to be there because they want to learn. They want to be engaged, and we want the opportunity to learn from practitioners, to hear from researchers, to understand the bigger space we're working in. There are, I think, also side events that are often planned, which I think policymakers are often very keen to participate in, because you're hearing about some of the things that maybe don't fit exactly into a panel, but have space where they can have influence. And I know those are also convening spaces that we try to take advantage of, to try to bring together individuals, organizations, and so on as well. But I'd like to think that everybody who's participating in SVRI is there because they're excited about the opportunities and because it's a venture that we're in together. But in terms of attracting policymakers to forums, I think that's something else that we can try to continue to promote collectively.
Perfect answer. I think I would add that there's sometimes also additional meetings just for policymakers. So there's also this kind of connection between policymakers that is made at the forum, which I feel is also something that is quite important, because as much as we love all the interconnections between our groups, it's also sometimes important to really consolidate, to consolidate what we as what specific groups thinks, and have that exchange as well. So I'm wondering if there's any additional question from the forum, from the participants, that I'm missing. I haven't seen one. And if nothing comes up, I might have, because we have a bit of time, if every one of the panelists could also briefly answer what gives you hope, because I'm super curious about that question. As we discussed, we have quite sometimes heavy topics to work on. So maybe this time I start with Sunita. Sunita, what gives you hope? If you could briefly tell our panel, our group members.
I I think two things. One, I'm incredibly inspired and hopeful by the power of adolescent girls, just personally, and I think also in this field of work. And then secondly, in terms of SVRI specifically, and just looking at the incredible group of people who are here online with us, as well as fellow panelists, I think the fact that we're coming together as a collective and that we are trying to find these commonalities whilst recognizing the unique ways we approach working on violence against women and children, but trying to really change things is incredibly powerful to me. And it does give me hope that we'll continue to see advancements together.
Thank you, Joanna.
So want to say two things. First of all, young people, I can see that they are quite different. There are new generations coming and they have new perspectives. And I think the future that they will form is quite hopeful. So that's something that gives me hope. And another thing is the past, because sometimes when I feel like everything is wrong and dark, when you think of past and how things were a few decades ago, you can see the difference that we are making and the difference that is going on. Like the world now is better than it was, so it gives you perspective also.
Oh, wonderful. Bogdan, what is your hope?
I think what makes me hopeful is that we are seeing more and more aspiring researchers in this field. And generally, people who are interested, and only then I think we can actually get some solutions if we have the strong base. So looking at the charts that were shared that show that every year there's been more and more participants at the SVRI Forum is something that makes me hopeful. But it also translates to how the things are developing locally. So we've done some support for aspiring researchers to do follow-up research on what we've published as SVRI grantees, and I was happy to learn that some of the researchers whom we hosted for the follow-up research have now decided to enroll into PhD programs and to follow this path. So I think tomorrow we'll have this means that we'll have at least a couple of more people who are focusing on this and who can do some great research.
Thank you so much. Maybe also from my end, a hope, and one that I felt very strongly after the last SVRI in Mexico, was that it's incredible how big the community of researchers, practitioners, and policymakers have become on violence against women and children. When I did my PhD in 2006, literally everyone thought I'm not going to have any academic career with a topic like violence against women and girls. And when I see now, relating to Joanna's message about the past and now, but in a different sense, it's like it was the best choice I could have made. And we have such a powerful, strong base now with, I think, over 1,000 attendees last time. That really shows that this is now a crucial topic that is on the agenda, and that really gives me hope. Yeah. So I would now end the Q&A session here. Thank you so much for everyone who put in a question or who participated, even only through listening, and of course to my wonderful panelists. And I would now hand back to Liesl for the next steps.
Thank you, Heidi, and just a very big thank you to our wonderful panelists. Thank you for the time you took and for being part of this. Heidi, thank you so much for moderating. You are always brilliant. So yes, just to tell people that, like we said, abstracts are closing on the 19th. So please do submit your abstracts. Please do reach out to us if you need anything. And we really look forward to seeing everybody in Cape Town. And yes, please do subscribe to the SVRI. I've put the link up. I'll put the link in again, maybe in the email that I'll send out with the recording of this webinar. But yes, do write to us with any questions, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.